Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the What If guy, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Issei Became Irish God. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. My name is IseXHarem, the former Security and pawn of IseXHarem. The reason why I refer myself as the former because I've already died and moved on to the afterlife. It all happened after my promotion exam to become middle-class devil. I was in the hotel along with my friends and girlfriend from the Occult Research Club. Though it seems that it was nothing more than a group of high school students enjoying themselves after taking a stressful test, which it originally was, there's more to it than it appears. Azazel-sensei, the supervisor of our club and governor of a fallen angel organization known as the Grigori, secretly brought Ophis, a leader of a terrorist organization known as the Khaos Brigade, to my home without informing the core members of the allied faction, along with team members led by Vale Lucifer, the great-grandchild of the original Mal Lucifer and also the current generation's Hakuigu. Together we were ambushed by the Khaos Brigade's hero faction leader Cao Cao, descendant of the original Cao Cao from the Three Kingdoms and possessor of the strongest sacred gear, true Longinus. Cao Cao made a deal with Hades to capture Ophis and used the power of the ultimate dragon slayer, Samael, to steal Ophis's power. Despite our efforts to stop Cao Cao, we're easily defeated by that man's immense skills and end having the destruction of the Zenovia's Durandal X, Valley receiving Samael's curse, and Ophis losing majority of her powers. Cao Cao treated soon after and we were dealt with the grim reapers of Hades. We calculated a plan to escape the fake dimension that Cao Cao trapped us in and were almost freed till Shalba Beelzebub, leader of the old Mao faction and descendant of the original Mao Beelzebub, appeared with hero faction member Leonardo, who possess a high-tier Longinus called Annihilation Maker, and forced him to release Balance Breaker along with kidnapping Ophis. I stayed behind to chase after Shalba while everyone else escapes the fake dimension. I found Shalba overpowered him easily, although I was poisoned with an arrow of Samael's curse. I tried my best to stay awake from sleeping away to my death, however the curse got to me and now I'm dead. To make matter worse is that I died aversion. Damn it. I wanted to at least had EC with Rias and Akino-san once before I died. I just recently started a relationship with Rias. I can't experience a life of having a girlfriend. Now I'm dead I can't have a CC. I can't make children with Zenovia. I can't feel the BRST of none of the girls in the Occult Research Club. Being dead is Arg, how could fate be so cruel? Partner? Can you hear me? Drake? Is that you? Did my memories perchance become zombified within the darkest depth of boosted gear and you're communicating with nothing more but a fragment of my real self? No ISE, you're not dead. You're alive. Alive? For a minute there I didn't believe what Drake was saying till I opened my eyes. The darkness I've been staring at was nothing more but my close eyelids and the first thing I saw through my eyes was unfamiliar gray ceiling. I'm alive? I murmured, sounding completely weary and shocked. I slowly moved my haggard hand and placed it on my cheek. I quickly gave myself a slap so hard that I could hear the sound echo in the room. Ow! I groaned, rubbing my sore cheek that I just slapped. That hurts. Wait a minute. That hurts. Wait, I'm alive. I truly alive. Drake, we did it. We defeat Shalba and came back home in time to remove the curse in time before it could kill me. Partner about that. Before Drake had a chance to say something came into my mind. Drake, where am I? I slowly lifted my back off from the bed and checked around the room I was in. It was completely dark. The only lights in the room out from the thin space between the door and its frame, plus sunlight coming out through window nearby my bed. I can clearly tell that I'm not in the underworld. The light of the sun is a weakness to the devils and I clearly tell that I'm not at home in my bedroom. The ceiling was completely different and the room was smaller than the old I share with Rias and Asia. And there was something odd about myself. Since I became a devil, I had the ability to see in the dark, yet parts of the room is so pitch black that I can't see so clearly without squinting my eyes or approaching it closer to get a better view. Plus there was something else. I feel completely fine. Like if nothing really happened to me at all. I don't feel fatigued or pain in my body. For matter of fact, I feel completely refreshed after getting some rest. Drake, can you elaborate on this? Yeah, about that, partner. The door opened before the awkward-sounding Drake could even say anything to me. There stood an old-looking maid, looking completely shocked to see me, and dropped the bowl of water in her hands. She looked completely flabbergasted as she cupped her mouth. Her eyes started to tear up as if she was suddenly relieved to see me or something. "You're awake," she murmured. She slowly approached me by the bed and touched my cheek. "Oh, Luff, you're truly awake." She quickly rushed out from my room and shouted out, "He's alive! The young prince is alive!" Young prince? What is she talking about? Issei, there's something I need to show you. The boosted gear materialized into my left arm. The index finger of the boosted gear pointed directly to the drawer with a mirror above it. "Go see the reflection of your window," Drake requested in a serious tone. Reflection? I got off from the bed and head to the drawer. At first I didn't understood what Drake was saying to me about my reflection till I see what I was looking at through the mirror. What I see through a mirror wasn't what I suspected to see. Instead of seeing my reflection, I see the reflection of a young handsome man around my age with messy black hair and beautiful jaded eyes. His skin is slightly tanned and his body is slender. Why do I see a reflection of this man instead of myself unless? I slowly placed my hand on top of the mirror, where the reflection also did the same thing. I still didn't believe it and thought the mirror was magical mirror that was playing tricks with me. So I decided to yank a piece of hair from my head. There I brought that single hair right to my face to see that the hair I just yanked was completely charcoal black. I immediately flinched at the spot, shocked to the fact that I'm no longer exactly in my own body. I slowly staggered backwards, trying my best to calm myself down on what just occurred. "Drake, what the hell happened to my body?" "I don't know," Drake confessed, also sounding unsure how I ended up in a different body. "One moment I'm witnessing your death of Samael's curse, and the next I knew both our souls were transferred to this body, where you have complete control." So you have no clue how I ended up in this body then? "No, but I have a feeling that the original owner of this body was supposed to be your successor." Successor? That's right. When owner of a sacred gear dies, the sacred gear goes immediately to the next random person. But if this body is my successor, where the hell is he? And why am I in control of his body? As I asked myself multiple questions inside of my head, the old maid rushed back in. She seemed to be out of breath, but that doesn't stop her from dragging me out of my bedroom. "Hey," I said, pulling arm away from the old maid. "Where exactly are we going?" The maid stopped for a moment to catch her breath. "We're going to see your great-grandfather." "Great-grandfather?" "Yes," the maid said, looking a bit concerned. "What's wrong, my prince? Don't you remember your great-grandson of Irish deity Luff?" "Luff? You mean the Irish deity Luff, who's said to be in the top 10 strongest beings in the world?" I asked in an exaggerated, loud tone. I heard about the top 10 beings in the world before from Sensei and Valley. After meeting with Hades, I decided to look up the rest of the top 10 members in my own. Along with Ophis, Sakra, and Hades, there is also Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma from the Hindu faction, Thor from the Norse faction, Aten from Egyptian faction, Typhon from Greek faction, and Luff from Irish faction, though Fenrir was also considered to part of the top 10 till he lost his powers, and Ophis probably no longer on the list too since she lost majority of her powers as well. The ones I encountered so far were Fenrir, Hades, and Ophis. Though my first encounter with them were somewhat unpleasant, nevertheless I was very fortunate to meet them face to face. "Yes," the maid nodded to my question with a puzzled expression. "What's wrong, Prince Leo?" "Leo?" I asked, wondering if this was the name of this body's owner. Now the old maid looked at me dubiously. She placed both of her hands on top of my cheeks and rested her forehead on top of mine. She leaned her head back and examined me carefully with her hand under her chin. "You seem to be fine to me. However, you behave as if you don't remember anything about yourself. Well, you did just wake up from a coma, and there's a chance you might still be lightheaded or dash." "Coma?" I interrupted, having a tone that makes me sound as if I couldn't believe it. How would someone who is the descendant of someone who's in the top 10 strongest beings in the world be in a coma? Wait a minute. I just made a realization. The successor is a descendant of a legendary hero, great king, and deity who is in the top 10 strongest being in the world. Vale, who is the Hakuryu, was a descendant of a powerful and wicked Mao who once ruled over the underworld. They're bipolar opposite of one another, just like Draig and Albion. Hey, if Leo was my successor. Leo? Are you all right? I snapped out of my train of thought and looked back at the maid. Yeah, I'm fine. I waved my hand. I'm still lightheaded though. Oh, do you still need some more rest or something? Again, I'm fine. I assured her. Then let's go see your great-grandfather then, she insisted urgently. Right now? I asked. Well, of course, the maid said. Everyone is suspecting your arrival now. But do you want to make them wait? Well, crap, there is no way I can meet up with deity in the body of someone else. I have a terrible feeling that something bad might happen if they find out that I, a spirit of a devil and a dragon, is in the body of the great-grandchild of a great hero like Luff. They might misunderstand and a war could break out between the allied factions and Luff's faction, and that's the last thing I want to happen. Close. I blurted out. That's right. I can't go meet up with my legendary great-grandfather dressed like this. I was completely dressed in red silky pajamas and my body is reeking and drenched in sweat. If I remembered correctly, appearance is everything in a high-class society. There is no way a maid would allow me to go like this. Ah, you're right, the maid exclaimed, realizing that I was right. You can't go see your family members looking like this. Oh, let me get someone to get a bath ready for you, Prince Leo. The old maid quickly ran down the hall, leaving me in the process. I checked my surroundings, making sure that I was truly alone. After making sure that I was truly alone, I quickly made a break for it in the other direction, but stopped at the end of a corner. I realized that I have no idea where I'm going. I don't know where I am or how I could escape. I don't have a single clue how to get back home to everyone else. I just buy myself some time, but I don't know what to do with it. Do you have any suggestions, Draig? I mentally said that while looking down to my left hand. Well, you could consider either confessing to Luff the truth or try winging it as this Leo person. So those are the only options I have left then. There is no way I'm able to wing it being Leo due to the fact I don't even know the guy. The only thing I might able to talk things over with Luff then. Now that I have time, I could think of a proper confession that won't make Luff have any misunderstanding of the situation. Oni-chan. I flinched from hearing a sweat-innocent voice behind me. I turned around to see a young girl who appears to be in an elementary school. She had long blonde hair that went down her waist and lovely green eyes with a shade that matches with the eyes of the body I'm using. She was dressed in fancy green medieval dress and had many extravagant clips on her hair. She slowly came up to me. Oni-chan. She referred to me very cute, innocent-like. Is that really you? Well. I averted my eyes to the side to avoid looking directly and rubbed the back of my neck. I'm making sounds with my mouth, however there is no actually words were coming out from my mouth. Oh crud. How the hell am I going to explain to this innocent little girl that I'm not her Oni-chan? Maybe you should just be frank with her and tell her that you're a spirit of a devil who has taken over the body of her comatose brother. That's not funny, Draig. I'm being deadly serious over here. Who said I was joking? Oh, shut up. I screamed loudly at my left arm with an anger expression on my face. It took me a moment to realize what I just done. I glimpsed down at the trembling little girl who looks she was going to wet herself. I knew by fact I needed to do something before this started to cry. So without even thinking this through thoroughly, I crouched down to the girl's height and placed a hand on her shoulder. Sorry I shouted earlier. I apologized to the young girl in the most awkward manner with a funky-looking smile. I'm still lightheaded. Leo's litter sister stares back at me with the cutest confused expression on her face, and then her eyes widen like she noticed something odd. She jerked my hand off her shoulder and slowly backed away, terrified. You're not him, she murmured quietly. You're not Oni-chan. I don't know how this girl discovered that I'm not Leo just by looking at me. However, I wasn't liking how this was going. I needed to say something so this girl won't have any misunderstanding of me, yet when I took one step forward and moved my hand towards her, she ran away from me. "Hey, wait," I said, starting to run after her. The young girl made a turn at the end of the hallway. I also made a turn as well, but when I arrived to the new hallway, she was completely gone from my sight. Where did she go? There wasn't a single door in the hallway, and it's also a dead end. Did she go through a secret passage or something before I turned the corner? I was going to check if there was a secret passage, but I couldn't as I heard footsteps heading my way. "Ah, there you are." It was the old maid that I met in Leo's room who showed up from around the corner. She made an unpleasant face when I looked at her. She marched up to me and yanked my ear tightly. "I let you out of my sight for 1 second and ended up going missing. What the hell were you doing wandering around the halls while your family are patiently waiting for your arrival?" So sorry. I felt lightheaded and tried to head back to my room. I lied while trying my best to endure the pain of my ear being yanked. She yanked my ear harder than before. "Please. I just checked your room and you weren't there." So sorry. I wanted to stretch my legs. I swear." The maid lets go of my ear and glared at me with a stern expression. "Tisk, you're really being a thorn in the side, you know. Come now, you have take your bath." The maid now dragged me to a room with a big bath. It's larger than the bath in the Hayuda residence, and things like the ceiling, the wall, and the equipment are made gorgeously, and even the ornaments are made in a flashy way. There are also tropical plants, so it makes it look like a jungle bath. There are hot water pouring from the mouth of a dragon statue, and there are Irish's symbols and paintings on various parts of this bath. "So what are you going to do now?" I sulked down in the water of the bath, staring down at the reflection of Leo for the last few minutes lifelessly. I heard what Drake had asked me, and I've been trying to think of some solution to get me out of this dilemma I'm in with this small brain of mine, but I haven't made any progress. "Sheet!" I screamed before I slammed my arm at Leo's reflection. I'm completely screwed now. Leo's little sister probably has already told Luff and the higher-ups that I'm not Leo. I can imagine the higher-ups of the Irish factions having a huge misunderstanding, and I might die for a real this time. I can see the guards coming into the bath in a matter of minutes. When I thought all hope was lost, I quickly thought of something. There was a bottle of shampoo. I squeezed the bottle to release a streak of shampoo to form a circle on the floor. I took off the cap and tapped the bottom of bottle, release a huge puddle of shampoo right next to the circle I made. Next I tapped my index finger into the puddle and started to draw vigilantly. "Wait, isn't that the insignia of the Gunmare clan?" I said, smiling on how perfect I was able to create the Gunmare clan symbol with nothing more of a bottle of soap in one whole try. "Oh, I see what you're planning to do. You're going to try to summon someone from the Gunmare clan to help you escape," Drake said, sounding very impressed of my plan. "That's right," I nodded. "I just hope it works though." I placed a hand on the insignia with my eyes closed. I thought deeply of every member and servant who part of the Gunmare clan. When I reopened my eyes, the Gunmare insignia started to glow a crimson light. I slowly backed away to give the devil so room, but something happened to the Gunmare circle. The light was slowly fading away and not a single devil showed up. After seeing that it didn't work the first time, I decided to try again. However, the crimson light didn't show up like the first time. What's going on? I bit the lower part of my lip after realizing that the Gunmare circle isn't functioning properly. A partner, I think I know what's going on. The way Drake said it wasn't good. Remember how you were supposed to return back to everyone else through the Dragon Gate? Yeah, what about it? I believe that everyone thinks you're dead now. Oh, well, that's obvious. Since my body was probably destroyed by Samael's curse and wait. That completely slipped my mind. Sheet, everyone must be grieving for the fact I never came back from the fake dimension. Word must have gone out to the Gunmare clan about my death and aren't performing their devil jobs. Oh, there's also the monsters that BSRD Shalba released throughout the underworld by forcing the Annihilation Maker, Leonardo, to enter Balance Breaker. I needed to go to the underworld to tell them that I'm completely fine despite the fact I'm in the body of someone else. No, I can't even imagine what everyone in the Occult Research Club or the underworld is going through right now about my death and those monsters running amok through the underworld. I snapped out of my distraught thoughts when the door of the bathroom opened. I quickly whipped off the Gunmare insignia on the floor and dived back into the spacious tub before the same old maid that I've been dealing with this whole day opened the door completely. "Oh, Prince, that it's time to get out of the bath." "Prince." Though I can't see it, I can imagine the maid turning her head back and forth looking for me in the thick steam. "Oh, don't tell me he already left the bath already." "No, I'm right here." I popped my head and my upper body from the water when I said that. The maid made a sigh of relief after seeing that I'm still here. She approached me to pass a bathrobe and turned around while I got my lower half out of the tub to put on the red bathrobe on. "Everyone is now waiting for you at the dining room," she said it to me without looking back. "Let's go back to your room so you can quickly change." "Yes," I said, following the maid with no objections. We headed back to Leo's room in a matter of seconds after leaving the bath. The maid waited outside while I put on a good-looking suit that had a red dress shirt with black buttons, a black suit pants with a matching blazers, dress shoes and green tie. By the time I was done putting on Leo's clothes, I went out of the room. We headed down the hall, then down a flight of stairs. We stopped at the door frame of the dining hall, where it was filled with many large, long tables with many chairs that were filled with people I never seen in my life. They all stopped chatting with one another the moment I arrived to the hall. All of their eyes were directed at me, making me feel a bit uncomfortable. The person who sat in the only throne in the room, at the end of one of the dining tables, grabbed my attention the most. He had a human appearance with long golden curly hair that reached down to his shoulders and green eyes that shade looked identical to Leo's and his sister's. He was dressed in an all-black suit with a red, crimson tie. He rose up from his throne, which grabbed the attention of everyone else. He left everyone speechless when he approached me and hugged me on the spot. I was shocked as well, but it wasn't from the hug. It was from the unnatural aura that was around his body that caused my new vessel to wince. The aura he had was a divine aura that was far greater than anything I have felt before. If I was hugged him in a body of a devil, I might have perished. But since I'm in the body who possibly shares the same aura as him, I'm completely fine. It's good to see my beloved great-grandchild up once again, the blonde-haired man said delightfully, giving me a pat on the back before breaking off the hug. My eyes nearly popped out after hearing that. This man standing right in front of me is none other than Luff himself, the great-grandfather of Leo and his sister, the Irish deity who was within the top 10 strongest beings in the world. My heart was now beating quickly, like never before due to the fact I was welcomed with open arms by someone so great as Luff. "Come with me, Leo, sit with me," Luff Sama requested as he goes back to his seat. "Why is great-grandfather?" I said, quickly following Luff to his seat. While we walked back to his throne, I quickly glimpsed around the other tables to see if I can find Leo's younger sister. I eventually did found Leo's sister, who turned out to be the person who was sitting right next to Luff's throne on his right and the person who was sitting right across from me. She glared at me with cold, narrow eyes the moment I sat down. "Bark." I winced once more due to the loud bark coming from a giant white wolf that stood right at Luff's throne. It started to snarl at me as it was a territorial Kennedy who was growling at someone to get off of their turf. "Whoa, down Phalanus," Luff said, stroking the white wolf's head playfully. "Don't you remember him, boy? It's Leo." The wolf known as Phalanus stopped snarling at me. It didn't stop giving me a sour expression in its eyes. There I can clearly tell that it knew that I wasn't Leo either. I looked up to Luff, who seemed to be rather puzzled at his wolf's behavior rather than me. This is where I'm also getting puzzled. If Leo's sister and Phalanus were able to guess that I'm not Leo at all, then why hasn't Luff? In a matter of minutes, Luff got back up from his throne again, carrying a glass of wine and spoon. He used the spoon to lightly tap the wine glass to call everyone's attention, though he already had their attention in the first place. "Brethren, today is a day for celebration," Luff declared as he put his wine glass and spoon down. "As you all can see, my beloved great-grandson, Lelo Gifs, has awakened from his long slumber. Is it me, or has the warm atmosphere making me awkwardly uncomfortable? I'm starting to sweat and I kept on tugging at the suit's collar. My throat was getting dry, so I ended up chugging down all of the water in my wine glass as Luff continued his speech. I barely paid attention to Luffy's speech. Mostly because I'm thinking about everyone back in the underworld and how I should be there with them trying to find a way to destroy the monsters created by the Annihilation Maker instead of being here. Leo? Is there some wrong? It took me a blink of a second to remember where I was. I raised my head to see Luff, who had his hand on my shoulder and appeared to be very worried about me. Huh, was the only I was able to say out of my mouth. You seemed troubled for some reason, Luff pointed out. Is there something bothering you? I took a moment to think things over. After deciding what I to do, I took in one last breath and get up from my chair. Yes, I told him. There is something that is bothering me. What is it? Luff, is there anything I can do? Weiss, I said, bobbing my head. However, I'd rather speak with you in private. Luff pet his head in confusion. All right, let me get everyone out of here then. Luff quickly dismissed everyone from dining room, including the guards and his wolf. He created a special barrier around entire dining room so no one from the outside could come in or hear through the walls and such. After everyone was gone and the barrier all set, Luff took a sip of his wine and looked at me with concerned eyes. Tell me, Leo, what's on your mind? The moment he said it, I sighed. That's the point. I'm not the person you think I am. Leo, what are you talking about? Luff asked, unsure where this conversation is going. I swallowed all the remaining of the saliva in my throat and summoned the boosted gear on my left hand. I'm not your great-grandson. My name is Issei, the secretary of this current generation and the pawn of the current heiress of the Gunmare household, IseXHarem. I cowered and closed my eyes the moment I confessed the truth to Luff. I prepared for the worst after what I told him. However, nothing happened to me. After a few seconds, I told Luff the truth. I reopened my eyes to see that Luff, with his back turned, going to one of the dining tables to refill his glass. He turned around without saying a single word to me. He drank the wine in his cup into one whole sip before he even said anything to me. So you're the ridiculous Issei dragon of the underworld, huh? He asked me in a casual manner as if our conversation was nothing crucial. My daughter sees your show a lot. She's a big fan. Thank you? I said with a sheepish grin. I slowly walked up while clearing my throat. Excuse me, Luff-sama, but you seem to be... What? Unfazed? Nonchalant? Or maybe I knew that you weren't my grandson the moment you woke, huh? Did you think about that? He asked, speaking in a sour tone. I raised a brow. What are you talking about? Luff grabbed the entire wine bottle from the table and had to lay down on his throne like it was nothing more than a sofa. I was aware the whole time that my grandson's body was eventually going to become the vessel of some pitiful soul. I just didn't know whose soul it was going to be. I was baffled, but I wasn't sure if I was more baffled at Luff already knowing that I wasn't his great-grandson the moment I woke up in his great-grandson's body or Luff's surly behavior. Wait, you knew that I wasn't your great-grandson this whole time? I asked after I got over my shock. If you knew that I wasn't Leo, then why didn't do anything the moment I woke up? Luff stopped midway from taking a sip of his wine bottle when I asked that. He put the bottle down on the ground and fixed his lying posture to a sitting posture of a proper king sitting on his throne. He started to chuckle suspiciously, that made me wary of him. Why haven't I done something to you after your awaking? Why didn't I do something the moment I saw you walking in my beloved great-grandson's body during the dinner party? Why haven't I done something to you right now? The answer's so simple really. Why do you think I haven't done something to you, Issei dragon? I don't know. I shrugged. And you'll never will, Luff said slyly with an egoistic sneer in his face. Believe me, you'd enjoy being a descendant of someone like me. Oh, what makes you think that I'd enjoy being grandson then? I asked skeptically with my arms crossed. Oh, I know what type of person you are, Issei dragon. Luff snickered dubiously. You're a man who's driven by his hormones and seeks the companionship of multiple women. I winced on the inside the moment he said one of my greatest weaknesses. Oh? What about it? I said awkwardly. Well, I'm a holy deity who approves of polygamy. Luff smirked. You can marry all the beautiful women you want. Polygamy. Blood squirted from my nose the moment I imagine all of the multiple pure beautiful women in my head wearing wedding dresses, grabbed my attention to see who would lay in bed with me first. Maybe playing Luffy's grandson won't be that. Hey, wait a minute. Stop tempting me. I cried loudly up into the air. I ran up to one of the dining tables and used one of the glasses filled water to splash myself right into my face. I quickly calmed after I took a moment to inhale and exhaled some air. I looked back at a very bored Luff, who drank a sip of the wine. Listen, Luffma, though your offer seems nice and all, but I rather go back home to my friends, I said with pleading eyes. Luff didn't say a single word to me. We stared at one another in awkward silence for a while. I was about to open my mouth to say something, but Luff got up from his throne and advanced towards me. You'd rather give up a life of being prince who could have everything he desires for your old life as a servant of some wicked devil? Luff asked coldly as the atmosphere within the barrier gets hostile. Yes. I answered back with no hesitation and showing no signs of anxiety. Luff's eyes widened for a brief second. He seemed to be astonished at what I told him. He retreated back to his throne without speaking back. You're aware of the situation that is happening over there, right? Luff brought up. There is a huge monster crisis in Underworld. If you go back to your down there, they'll probably going to send you to fight them. Yes, I'm aware of the crisis. I affirmed him with a nod. I was there when the whole thing started. I see. Luff leaned his cheek on a fist before he let out a resigning sigh. All right, a pay dragon. I'll get you in touch with leaders of the allied faction. However, in return for my services, I seek something from you. And that is? I asked. There was a small magic circle on top of the dining table that was emitting light. Something that looks like 3D image starts to appear from magic circle. The image soon became clear enough to see unique broadsword that its blade is shaped as a lighting bolt. The sword has a semicircular guard on the left side of the handle that extends to the bottom just above the pommel, with a small extension on the right side of the handle just like the Durandal. The most alluring thing about the sword was its color of its edge, which turns out to be a mix of iridescent colors. The way I could describe these iridescent colors is like looking at the colors of the rainbow blending together. This sword is known as the legendary rainbow sword Khalidbolg, Luff explained. If you show me that you retrieve the rainbow sword, I'll personally contact the allied factions and tell them about your predicament. Is that all then? All I have to do is show you that I retrieved this sword and I can go back home then. I paraphrased what Luff just said. Luff nodded. Yes, but I'll send you on your quest for your sword within 1 hour. Within that time you will make preparations for your quest for the sword. The hour that Luff gave me quickly passed. Within that time I went back to Leo's room and changed out clothes that seemed appropriate for this quest. I wore a long-sleeve gray shirt with a brown leather jacket on top, jet black jeans with a red utility belt around the waist with 2 handgun holsters, and black combat boots. The pockets of the utility belt and the jacket were filled with weapons. I had guns in the holsters of the utility belt and firearm magazines to load them if I run out of bullets. There was smoke bomb canisters dangling around the belt. Within the jacket, there was a couple pockets like the ones on the belt that held throwing knives and ninja stars that I can use. I also possessed a small device that fires a grappling hook. There was also one more weapon on the utility belt that got me very curious. Attached to the belt was scabbard that carried a curved dagger with sharp edges on the left side. I was very curious of this weapon mostly because the utility belt and jacket already carried sharp throwing knives of different shape and sizes. Why would there be a single scabbard just for this weapon? I spend the remaining of the time wondering about the dagger and about everyone else back in the underworld. I'm wondering how they're handling my supposed death. By the time was up, the same old maid that I met since my awakening came to my room and escorted me to Luff's throne room. She left the second I entered the throne room. The only person who was inside the room was Luff, who was now dressed like a true nobleman, sitting in a similar throne that he sat in the dining room. Are you ready? He asked. I bobbed my head. Yeah, let's get this over with. Just by snapping his fingers, Luff created a teleportation circle right underneath my feet. Before I was teleported, Luff suddenly remembered something important and said, Oh, before I send you off, I need to tell you where exactly is the Khalidbalg and where I'm dropping you off. The Khalidbalg is held in abandoned castle where it once belonged to its former wielder, Fergus MacRoich. It's heavily guarded by monsters, which you must defeat. I'm dropping you off a few miles away from the castle. Don't worry, I'm leaving you in a middle of trail where you must go south to reach the castle. After he said that, I was teleported away to a forest. I was currently standing within the trail that Luff spoke of, and then I headed south. So you're really going through with this, partner? Drake asked as the boosted gear appeared on left hand. What choice do I have, Drake? I need to go back to the Occult Research Club pronto. There's no way I'll let my friends go through the anguish any longer than they need to. Alright, partner, but there is something I need to tell you though. What is it, Drake? You sounded a bit insecure. You no longer can access your Triana or your true queen to do missing your evil pieces. Well, that was probably a given since it was thanks to Beelzebub-sama, who adjusted my evil pieces to allow me to access the power of illegal move Triana or my Crimson Cardinal promotion in the first place. Is there anything else you have to say to me? Yeah, you no longer have access to use even the scale mail either. I stumbled forward and fell face first to the ground the second Drake confessed to me the terrible news. I became completely horrified when I got back up from the ground. I stared back down at the boosted gear, gawking due to the shock I'm still in. What do you mean I no longer can use BBBB balance breaker anymore? I stuttered. Oh crap, I'm starting to shake and sweat all over Leo's body now. Partner, calm down. I have a perfectly good explanation why you can't go into balance breaker. Drake said, trying his best to sound calm as possible. The reason why you no longer possess the ability to use balance breaker was due to the fact the boosted gear resets itself when it goes to the next host. When you died, the boosted gear reset itself along with your past predecessors being sealed up again till their awakening from Juggernaut Drive. That explains a lot. And my body did certainly got destroyed, so it makes sense for the boosted gear will reset itself and go to its next host. But Dimon, how the hell am I going to retrieve the Khalidbalg without my scale mail? Well, there is one thing you still have. What is it? Blade. After being chanted out from the boosted gear, a familiar blade drew out releasing a holy aura. Wait, I recognize this blade. It's the blade of the dragon-slaying Ascalon. The sword is still within the boosted gear after all this time? Well, yeah. Apparently everything that you put in the boosted gear also get transferred to its new host unless you remove it. Drake explained. You'll probably be alright with Ascalon when you face against any dragons on your way to retrieve the Khalidbalg. I made an unpleasant face when Drake said it. I wasn't sure if I could retrieve to the Khalidbalg without my scale mail. I become very reliant on the scale mail ever since I was able to obtain it by touching Rias's B. Now that I no longer have access to it, I wasn't sure if I can fully believe I can obtain the Khalidbalg without it. After walking for over an hour on the trail, I stumbled upon a dark, creepy-looking castle that you see in a RPG video game. I stopped at the entrance of the castle, where there was huge channel of water that divided off the castle and where I stand. I was about to reach for my grabbing hook device till the castle's wooden drawbridge lowered itself to the ground. I warily walked across the bridge while carrying a gun in each hand. The moment I walked inside the castle, the drawbridge closed itself up, nearly giving me a heart attack in the process. I examined the drawbridge to see that there was no string attached to it, and it must have moved by its own like magic. I had a feeling that it won't lower itself again, so I can't escape unless I go take what I'm looking for. I headed forward to the entrance hallway, which was quite dim to see you through and quiet. Too quiet. So far I haven't met any monsters that Luff talked about. Maybe flesh. I'd spoken too soon. From behind, I sensed the presence of 3 teleportation circles. What came out from the circles were creatures that I never seen before. Actually, one of the creatures I do recognize. There's a headless knight riding on a zombified horse within the trio that appeared from the magic circle. It was a Dullahan. I remembered it when I saw the one with Kyome Senpai. But the other 2 I couldn't recognize. One of them is a hideous-looking dwarf and the other is another zombified human who's completely scrawny and had a completely famished look. He also looked a bit transparent as well. Partner, be careful. Drake warned me solemnly. The one who looks like a dwarf is a Abhartak. These guys are powerful spellcasters, so be careful. The scrawny-looking creature is a fear Gorda. Don't let him lay a finger on you. He's a dangerous phantom that seeks he life out of you if he touches you. Thanks, Drake. At least I know what I'm facing against. I smiled bitterly as the stare-off between the creatures and me began. Boost. I had the boosted gear out summoned while my other hand carried a loaded gun. So far the monsters haven't made a single move yet, and neither have I for the last few seconds. Boost. One of them actually made a move. Was the IseXHarem, who created a magic circle with its hands. Then the famished Fear Gorda and Dullahan began their charge against me. I leaned backward and started to fire the gun. I was able to fire a perfect headshot to the IseXHarem's head before he conjured any spells. I then redirected my gun at the Dullahan, who continued to approach me. Boost. I dropped my gun and draw out a couple throwing stars from the utility. I threw a perfect shot right into the horse's eyes. The blinded horse neighed in pain as it gets up and stands on its hind legs, causing the rider to fall off. Ascalon. Blade. The blade of the Ascalon came out of the boosted gear. I quickly charged to the standing horse and moved the blade of my Ascalon right on top of its head, slashing the horse into two halves. Boost. I drew the blade back into the gauntlet and gathered aura, forming a cannon on the boosted gear. With a little concentration and energy gathered into my cannon, I fired a dragon shot directly at the Dullahan. Kaboom! Without realizing how much power I gathered into that shot, I was blown away by the collision of Dullahan making contact with my dragon shot. I was about to hit the ground. I was sure that I was going to hit head first to the ground, but as if it pure instinct, my body reacted on its own and spun itself around into 180 and landed on my feet perfectly. Drake said, sounding completely lost for words. I was also lost for words on what I just did. This is the first time I've used firearms and using throwing knives. And I was sure that I couldn't land myself on my own 2 feet. However, what just occurred right now? Was I able to do this because I was in Leo's body? Partner, look out. I just blinked for a sec and the Fear Gorda was staring at me right at my face. I quickly take out the other gun from the belt and began firing away, yet the bullets were going through the Fear Gorda like a ghost. The Fear Gorda is a real ghost. Drake said. You only a way to can exterminate with magic or magical items. Oh, so that's how I can defeat then. I pulled back to create some distance between us. Blade. I drew out the Ascalon for a second time with a coat of holy aura all over its blade. I juked the Irish phantom by swinging my sword vertically. The creature vanished into thin air after the Ascalon went through its body. My legs went a bit wobbly before I fell on my hands and knees. I began to pant and sweat heavily after experiencing that. There was definitely no way I would have been able to fight like that before. I usually fight with my fists, however what just happened right now? Did you had something to do with me fighting like this, Leo? Maybe it was the body? Drake suggested. Maybe it was still accustomed to the way it used to fight when Leo was in control. You probably haven't adjusted to this body yet to your full control to your liking. That seems reasonable for now. I'm fine with this new fighting style for now. Sure, I won't get used to it now, but if I can retrieve the Calidbalg, then I'm fine with it. I didn't get up till I got my breath. I went to pick up the gun I dropped on the ground before heading off to search for the Calidbalg. Hours have passed since I entered this castle, and so far I had no luck in finding the Calidbalg. Every room I looked in was filled with more Irish, Celtic, and Welsh mythological creatures. I've been using the weaponry that I acquired in Leo's room to fight them all. Now all I have is just 2 more magazines and a dozen of throwing knives and stars in the utility belt. I still haven't used the grappling hook device or the dagger that has its own scabbard yet. I was about to give up hope till I walked inside the throne room. Huh, I said, sensing something abnormal in the abandoned room. I checked around the entire throne room, however I found a single lead of this abnormal feeling I'm having. I decided to sit down on the throne to get a small rest after spending hours searching for a sword or trying to find that abnormal presence in the room. Where could it be? I asked myself. I rested both my hands on the armrest of the throne and leaned back. I looked up the painted ceiling, where it shows an image of a famous nobleman holding the same sword I was searching for. It must have been its original owner, Fergus MacRoich. Weird the way he posed with the Calidbalg is like he's pointing somewhere. The direction he was pointing was at the throne that I'm sitting in. I turned around to the wall behind the throne. I left the throne to examine the wall. I looked back up to the painting to see where the tip of the Calidbalg was pointing at. I stood at the exact point where the tip was pointing and pressed on my hand on the wall. I felt one of the bricks pushed back after I touched it. I took a few steps back as the sum of the bricks separated apart to make a secret entrance. I checked inside the entrance to find a flight of stairs heading downward. When I placed a foot on the first step, the abnormal feeling I'm having suddenly increased. Draig, do you think that the sword could be down there? It could be, Draig said. I definitely sense a powerful magic item down there for sure. Be careful though. I'm also detecting something abnormal in there too. Got it. Before I headed down, I quickly replaced the magazines of both my guns. I checked my boosted gear to see how power I stored inside in my sacred gear. I had plenty stored power within the boosted gear, so I'll be alright if I don't fight something too powerful. After I double-checked on everything, I slowly headed downstairs. The abnormal presence I'm feeling was getting stronger after each step I take. When I finally reached to the last step, I became utterly amazed by what I saw through the door frame. The broadsword that is shaped a lightning bolt with its edges glowing many iridescent colors levitating in the air with its rainbow aura. The Calidbalg. The sword I've been searching for, it's here. No way. I rushed over to the sword. Pardon me. I didn't heed to Draig's warning. Instead I put my hands on the Calidbalg, and then it happened. The wall moved on its own to close up the secret entrance, which was my only way out of there. Then a red magic circle appeared on the wall. Wait a minute, that magic circle is a dragon gate. And it's red too. Oh boy. I have bad feeling about this. Draig foreboded. He was right. I thought what was coming out of the dragon gate was nothing more a high-classed fire dragon, but I was wrong. Dead wrong. What came out was nothing that I could have imagined. What came out was a red western dragon alright. But it had an uncanny appearance to a dragon that I known very well. It was a large red western dragon. It has big eyes. The color of its eyes is green like an emerald. A jaw that comes up to its ears, where lots of sharp fangs are growing out. There is a thick horn lining up on its forehead, and the scales that covers its body is red like a magma. It has thick arms and legs like those of a gigantic tree. The claws look very sharp, and then its pair of wings that are spread to the sides makes this giant dragon look even bigger. In front of me there is a gigantic dragon, and out of all the things I know, the thing that resembles it the most is Draig. Was the only words I can say. I'm truly stupefied at the dragon in front of me. This dragon looks exactly like Draig. How could this be? This dragon. It's me. Draig is also shocked by this. However, something didn't sound right to me. Draig, what do you mean this dragon is you? This look-alike is made from my own flesh. But that's impossible. My flesh should have been destroyed along with Albion's when we were slayed by the biblical factions. So you're saying that this dragon possesses your flesh? So does it mean it has your ability to double and transfer power? That and much more. Draig said, speaking in a serious, cautious tone. Grr. The Welsh dragon growled at me. It was looking down at my boosted gear. I could clearly tell that it was trying to intimidate me. It slowly clawed around me, observing my every move. I stood there all stiff, unsure if I can make the first move. One false move and I'm dead. By looking into its predacious eyes, I can clearly tell that it's in no mood to talk things out. Draig, do you have any suggestions how to handle this? Sorry. I can't think of a single idea how to handle this situation. It's too late for you to force a balance breaker. My own flesh will know in a second that you paid up a piece of this body to force out the scale mail. Plus, if you did pay up a part of your body, I highly doubt you'll have time to get into the scale mail in time to fight the Welsh dragon head-on. I bit the lower part of my lip after hearing what Draig had to say. This definitely not good at all. All I have now out with me is the Ascalon, my handgun, and the boosted gear that is prepared to use explosion. Oh, what am I supposed to do? Everyone is waiting for me? I can't let them think I'm truly dead yet. Sheet. Explosion. I made the first move. I dashed towards the dragon with the tip of the Ascalon pointing directly at its head. The dragon hissed at me as it began to breathe out fire. I quickly dodged by performing a high backflip. I landed back on my feet and pulled the trigger of the handgun. Grarg! The Welsh dragon roared, taking the bullets head-on, but no damage is happening to him. The Welsh dragon then came at me with great speed. Before I realized it, it came from behind. I was prepared to turn around to swing the Ascalon in retaliation, but Welsh dragon smacked me with the back of its claw, crashing into the wall. Everything goes blurry as I slid off the wall. The last thing I remembered before blacking out was the Welsh dragon curling its body around the Khalid bulk. I'm having two strange dreams. The first dream was about where I was encouraging Kiba, who was fighting against Siegfried. He seemed like he was in trouble, so I think I lent him Ascalon. The others also didn't look happy, so I encouraged them as well. The second dream had many children were crying. When I asked them why, they told me they were crying because they were scared of the big monsters. That's why I told the children that I would appear when they draw a circle and press the middle by saying zoom zoom in. You're full of surprises, aren't you? I opened my eyes to a dark cloudy sky. When I came to my senses, I realized I was no longer in the castle where the Khalidbolg or the Welsh dragon made from Draig's flesh was. Instead I was in some rundown city. Despite never meeting the Great Red face to face, he gracefully connected your soul with your friends through the powers of dreams. Who's there? There was someone behind me. I turned around to see someone that I at least suspected. There was a young man with long black hair and light green eyes. He slim tan body figure with some muscular features. He was dressed in the same clothes as I was. I completely astonished that I couldn't speak a single word at the man who stand at the end of the road. So we finally meet at last, IseXHarem, the enigmatic young man said. My name is Lela Gifs, the original host of the body you're possessing in and the new security. Your time being in my body is up. I want my body back. There are things in this world that can't ever be explained. That is what I picked up when I became a reincarnated devil. There's so many things that can't be explained in the world, like my BRST power-up with Rias's BRST, or why there is a Shikigami in the world. Heck, there is even more things on that list, and if I had to rank them, seeing the owner of the body I'm possessing is number one. What's wrong? Did the Welsh dragon get your tongue? Or shall I say my tongue, since you're in my body? Leo scolded me. There was a white aura coming from Leo's body. I'm feeling hostility coming from that white aura. Hostility directly towards me. Leo, wait, can't we talk this out? I pleaded him. No, you're a wicked devil and dragon who stole my body for your selfish purposes. I, who am the descendant of the great hero, came to exorcise you out of my body. I made a sound with my tongue after realizing I can't talk myself out of this. It's like I'm talking to the core members of the hero faction. Here I come. Leo disappeared on the spot. I felt his presence from behind. But I turned around in the nick of time. Leo had the handgun in his hand and fired the moment I turned around. Luckily for me, the bullet didn't hit me, though I did got cut on the cheek from me. I quickly summoned the boosted gear on my left hand and rushed towards Leo. I clutched my gauntlet in preparation to deliver a left hook for Leo, but he predicted what I was about to do and dropped the gun to grab onto the boosted gear and interlock his other arm underneath with my right armpit. He then hit my abdomen by using his knee. He kneed me so hard that I ended up coughing out blood. You're pathetic. Leo removed his arm from my armpit and flipped me across the road. I ended up hitting a window, into a building and landing on the floor. Partner. I heard Draig's voice as I tried to get back up as I hold on to a table for support. Draig? Where in the world are we? I asked, wiping the blood from my mouth. You're within the depths of the boosted gear. Wait, if we're in the realm of the boosted gear, why can't you just come and rescue me? I can't, partner. There is a strong barrier that prevents me coming in and saving you. A barrier? Did Leo had something to do with it? So is there anything you can do? You still have access to my powers, and since you're within the realm of the boosted gear, you have access to all the powers within it. That means you can use your scale mail without the countdown, and you can use the power of Triana and True Queen. Oh, now that's helpful. Since I didn't have the power of my scale mail, illegal move Triana, or my Crimson Cardinal promotion since the boosted gear reset itself, but since I'm within the boosted gear itself, I have no limitation. I might turns the tables around. Hayadu Issei. Come out wherever you are. I limped my way towards the door. By the time I reached for the doorknob, a small device broke through the window. There was a loud beeping sound coming from the small device. That is where I realized that it was a bomb. I quickly opened the door in time and made a drop for cover before the bomb blows up. Kaboom! Everything inside the building exploded and I could hear the sound of the entire building collapsing. I kept my head down while the debris of the building and smoke scattered everywhere. Well, look what we have here. I lifted my head up to see Leo standing right in front of me with a gun pointing straight down at my head. Leo wasn't smiling arrogantly anymore. No, he's giving me a cold, bitter look of disappointment. Is Leo sad? Why is he sad? You fail me, Hayadu. You definitely failed me. I suspected more of a challenge. Yes, Leo is sad. I can see it in his eyes. They're getting watery. Despite the cold tone he was giving, he was definitely sad. You're useless in my body, Hayadu. You have no hope of using my body. You're right. I admitted. As Issei Hayadu, I'm completely useless. However, my body enveloped a red aura. The boosted gear appeared on my left forearm. The jewels were glowing brightly and a red flash devoured my entire body. I'm more than just Issei Hayadu. I'm also the Chichiryudii Ape Dragon. Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker. The red flash disappeared and I'm back standing on my two own feet with my scale mail armor on me. Leo blinked in surprise, but he seemed to be relieved. Why the hell is he relieved? Shouldn't he be worried? Hey, that's not fair. I'm not wearing any armor. Leo quickly changed his expression into distress and now started to complain. He began to fire his handguns, but it has no effect on me since I'm wearing my armor. I began to approach Leo slowly, who decided to abandon his guns and picked up one of the smoke grenades. He took out the clip and threw it to the ground. The entire town gets covered in a deep, black smoke. It didn't bother me though. I quickly cleared the smoke away by summoning my dragon wings and flapped them to blow the smoke away. Once the smoke was gone, I could see Leo with the dagger that had its own scabbard. There was something coming from that dagger. It's aura. And not an original aura either. It's a holy aura. Oh shit. I crossed my arms over my chest and chanted, Mode change. Welsh Dragonic Rook. Change solid impact. Red aura gathered around me to create even thicker armor, a heavy shield. Leo moved the dagger filled with holy aura right into my arm. Holy crap. That dagger is so sharp that it pierced through my thick armor. I felt pain of course, but it didn't hurt as much thanks to the thick armor of my Triana Rook. Demenit. Leo pulled the dagger out of my arm and tries to slash me, but I caught his wrist before he had a chance to swing his sword. Take this. I swing my free hand right into Leo's face, sending him flying up high into the sky. Welsh Sonic Boost Knight. Change Star Sonic. I spread the dragon wings and flew towards Leo. The boosters on my back were doubled, and spewed out great flames of magical power. I streaked across the sky as if causing the air to shake. Not fast enough. I needed speed faster than he can follow. Sonic speed, high speed, God speed. Armor release. As I yelled, various parts of boosted gear scale mail were shed off. Heavy armor was cast off from the body, arms, legs, and helmet. Abandoning all excess baggage, keeping the minimum armor to fly. Boosted gear scale mail shaped itself into a set of delicate full-body armor. Giving up on defense. Further shaping the armor into a slender form for high speed. My wish is God's speed. Speed no one can follow. Enduring the vomiting feeling from the heavy G-forces, I flew through the air with God's speed. Peekaboo! I floated above the soaring Leo, who's now going to fall to the ground. Welsh Dragonic Rook. Change solid impact. I slammed my fist into the Leo's gut as we descend to the ground. Crash. By the time we hit the ground, a huge crater was formed as the ground shook violently. All the buildings around us collapsed when the ground shook and there is so many cracks in the ground. I panted heavily as I changed back into my original armor. I couldn't find Leo at all after the colliding to the ground. I knew by fact I hit with a thick armor of my Triana rook. He shouldn't be able to move now. But, is that it? Is that all you got? To my shock, I turned around to see Leo, who was badly injured and has blood all over his face, standing on his 2 feet. I can see it in his eyes that he wasn't going to give up. He still has the will to fight. I can't continue with this. Leo, let's stop. I pleaded. This fight isn't worth your life. Shut up. Do you think your devil tricks will persuade me to give up? Then think again. There was a determined look in Leo's eyes. Leo lifted his left hand up in the air. Come forth. Boosted gear. My eyes widened as a red light gathered around his entire forearm. A familiar red gauntlet with green jewels appeared after the red light faded away. Balance breaker. Welsh dragon balance breaker. No. I gasped in horror. It can't be. Oh, it is. Leo declared as the boosted gear's scale mail armor covered his entire body. Now let's settle this fight of who is the true security for once and for all. Boost, 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 boost. Leo shorted the distance between us in less than a second. He went so fast that I couldn't see him. By the time I was able to see him in my view, Leo already had his fist a few centimeters away from making contact with my chest. I didn't understand what he was doing at first till. Blade. The blade of the Ascalon was drawn out from the fist Leo had and pierced right through my armor and into my chest. The scale mail armored Leo slowly pulled the blade out my chest. I collapsed to ground. The scale mail on my body disappeared before I hit the ground. Before I realized it, I was already laying on a pool of my own blood. My vision was getting blurry. I can see Leo looking down at me with a heartless expression. He was trying to say something, but I couldn't hear what he was saying or read his blurry lips. My eyelids are getting heavier every time I blink. The pain of the wound I received from my own Ascalon is slowly fading away. I no longer have the strength to move on. So is this finally it then? Am I really going to die this time for real? I've escaped death twice, but I highly doubt I can escape death another time. I found it ironic though, to be killed by my own powers and weapons. It's so ironic that it's funny. It's the kind of funny that can make me die smiling at least. I let out one last smile as I closed my eyes for one last time. What are you doing? I heard a voice. Everything is dark so I can't see anybody, but I can hear and sense their presence. You need to get back up. The fight isn't over yet. You're right. I might be able to stand back up again, but what can I do now? Leo is too strong for me to handle on my own since he's using the power of the security. Even if I use the power of my crimson armor, Leo, who is a descendant of someone in the top 10 strongest beings in the world, could still fight me evenly just for using the normal scale mail. Then use the power that doesn't involve the power of doubling or even transferring. Why you mean using a pay power? Well, that could work, but the Switch Princess isn't here at the moment to help you. Think again, IseXHarem. Think of a different power source that is within you, within the boosted gear. Another power than within the boosted gear? Besides the power of Triana and True Queen, what else do I? Then it came to me. A small white light appeared. It felt very nostalgic. Wait, I remembered now. I still have that power that was within the boosted gear all this time. Can't believe I forgot about it. But can I use it? You don't have to worry. You can use this power now thanks to achieving the crimson armor. You don't mean? Wait, I remember your voice now. That's right. Your third-person POV. He finished him. Leo had finished off his predecessor, IseXHarem, with his own weapon, the Ascalon. Issei hasn't said a single word or struggled to get back up after Leo pulled the Ascalon out from Issei's chest. He looked completely lifeless like a true corpse. Maybe he's already dead. He's the weakest security of them all. He wouldn't be able to handle the dragon-slaying power of the Ascalon, let alone being stabbed in the chest. Maybe I went too. Leo stopped his thought when he noticed a white aura enveloping around the body. He backed away when he noticed the body of Issei was levitating off the ground. What the? Leo asked to himself as he noticed a white gauntlet coming out from Issei's right hand. Le didn't understand at first till he sensed the white dragon aura coming from the white gauntlet. The jewels on the white gauntlet on Issei's right hand and the boosted gear, which was still on Isei's left hand, were glowing brightly. When the jewels of the boosted gear lit up, a red aura came and mixed together with the white aura. Le shielded his eyes as the light of the jewels flashed and enveloped Issei's body. Heavenly Dragon Balance Breaker. Issei's POV. A white light. I was enveloped in a white light. When I opened my eyes, I was standing on my 2 feet again while emitting an aura of red and white. I see Leo, who had his eyes widened and his mouth gawking in shock. That armor, Leo said, leaving me confused. It can't be. I also looked at my whole body after being concerned. My scale mail armor. Its color, the shape. This unnatural power flowing within me. This all reminds me the phenomenons that happened during the fight against Cao Cao and the hero faction in Kyoto and when I fought against Sarorg in the youth raiding games. But compared to those two phenomenons, this new scale mail armor change is completely different from the two. And the reason is its new color. The new scale mail armor I'm wearing wasn't just red with green jewels, but also white armor parts with blue jewels too. Seeing the white armor parts and the blue jewels blend perfectly together with the red armor parts and the green gems make me realize that not only I still can use the power of the Sekyudyai, but also Hakuyoku. Lair hissed as if he was reading my mind. Your armor consists with both powers of the Sekyudyai and Hakuryu. But how? I made sure that none of the past thoughts of the other Sekyudyai could enter the barrier. Don't tell me that the thoughts of the Hakuyoku that is stuck in the boosted gear used his powers to break in? What Leo said was true. Though I didn't see his face, I heard the voice and the presence of Albion Senpai. Just like last time, he used his powers to help me. Thanks to him, I was able to achieve this new power. This new scale mail armor. I blew out some air from my mouth before making my declaration. Listen, let's settle this score for once for all. Sekyudyai against Sekyudyai. Leo let out a bitter smile. Alright then. If that's how you want to settle it, then let's settle this without holding back. I was confused at what Leo was doing at first, but I soon realized what he was talking about the moment he made a heroic pose. I who is about to awaken, am the Red Dragon Emperor who holds the truth of the king up high. Holding the infinite hopes and unbreakable dreams and walking the path of righteousness. I will become an emperor of Crimson Dragon. And I will lead you to the path of heaven, glowing in deep crimson light. Cardinal Crimson Full Drive. He said it. Leo said the chant to activate my true queen form, Crimson Cardinal Promotion. I became horrified as my opponent's scale mail's armor changed color from red to the crimson color that matches the hair color of the woman I truly love. Ah. So this is the power of the so-called crimson armor. It's truly disgusting. This crimson armor has tarnished the reputation of what the heavenly dragon are truly supposed to represent. It makes me sick to my stomach just for seeing this color. I hate the color of crimson just as much I hate that red hair princess of the Gramarye. The only bright side of this armor is that I don't lose my sanity or my lifespan just for using it. I tightened my fist as my body began to shake violently. He insulted Rias. He insulted the woman who is my master. He insulted the woman who is also my girlfriend and my soulmate. This isn't something I would take so lightly. Leo, I said in a threatening tone. I'll never forgive you. Boost 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 boost. I dashed towards Leo with a new pair of wings and boosters on the back, and it spewed out great flames of magical power. I was fast like my Triana Knight was and maybe even equivalent to my true queen. Boost 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 boost. Here I come. Leo increased his powers as well and charged at me with everything he got. The distance between us greatly shortened in a matter of milliseconds. Leo made the faking a swing and releasing the Ascalon again, but I suspected to happen again and dodged to the side. I then went on the offensive by performing a roundhouse kick to Leo right at his head and knocking him down to the ground. Divide. A white aura briefly appeared all over Leo's body as his strength diminished in half. Realizing that he lost half his strength, Leo backed away to regroup. Sheet! Leo cursed. You think you can defeat me just because you can simply divide? It's going to take more than the power of both heavenly dragons to defeat the descendant of Luff. Boost 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 boost. Leo spread his wings and headed up to the sky. He pointed his index finger up while several magic circles with many complex formulas appeared in the sky. He's going for an aerial assault. I spread my wings out and soar up into the sky. I needed to get to Leo before Leo had a chance to assault me with magical attacks. However, when I was approached him, all the magical circles fired their attacks at once. I still head on towards Leo regardless from the magical attacks. I knew by fact that I couldn't dodge them all, and I received a critical wound. I'd probably be able to pull through this fight. However, boost 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 boost. Transfer. Reflect. The white parts of my armor and the blue jewels started to shine. All of the magical attacks that hit me bounced off and rocketed towards other directions. This power to reflect. It must belong to Albion. I've never seen Valley use this power of reflect before. It must be the power that was sealed away by God of the Bible. I'm very fortunate to use this power inside the boosted gear. I probably won't be able to use this power if I were in the real world. What the? Leo became phased as his magic attacks are getting reflected off from my new armor. He tried again by increasing his aura and fired another set of magical attacks, which were more stronger than the last set, but I also increased my own aura and transferred it to the power of this new reflection ability I achieved. As I was only a few inches away from grabbing him with my hand, Leo quickly kicked that hand away and rammed his solid impact fist to my face, knocking me all the way to the ground. I've tried to get back up, but Leo got on top of me before I could make a move. He started to deliver a heavy beating by punching and kicking my scale mail. He even tearing off parts of my armor. Flesh. As Leo tried to my chest, the giant jewel in the center flashed up a bright white light, blinding Leo, which forcing him to back away from me. I took the chance to stand up. Leo, who was no longer blind, saw me back up on my feet and hurtled towards me. Blade. We both summoned the blades of the Ascalon. Our blades clashed together as violent waves of dragon slaying and holy aura emitted into the air. It's now a battle of blades. We both separated apart after the first part. We moved the battle into the air and continued our sword fight in the sky. Leo kept up with the offensive attacks with his Ascalon while I'm on defense. I'm holding in this sword battle a lot better than I thought I would be. I really should thank Kiba. All those sword fights we had are finally paying off. Cling clang. The swings of the Ascalon were all parried. So far the battle of using the Ascalons have been a stalemate, but I'm still not sure if I can hold long. I haven't been able to lay a single strike on Leo. Leo hasn't delivered any serious blows to me, but he was able to graze parts of my armor. If this fight goes on, I'll definitely lose. But I have a plan. Divide. For every hit our Ascalons, I activated the power of the Hakuryuku to weaken the strength of Leo's Ascalon. Regardless how much Leo increased the power of his Ascalon with the boosted gear, a simple divide of the Hakuryuku will split the increased power into halves and add the divided power to myself. I then increased that divided power and transfer it into the Ascalon. Leo's Ascalon started to crack. It won't hold on any longer. I decided to go on the offensive and swung my Ascalon right at Leo's Ascalon. Leo's Ascalon snapped in half and I was able to leave a huge cut on Leo's crimson scale mail. Good job, Issei Hayadu. You proven yourself worthy. The crimson scale mail armor vanished from Leo as he, who's still in the sky, dropped all the way to the ground with the smile on the face. I slowly descend to the ground and walked up to Leo, whose body was bleeding rapidly from the cut I made on him with the Ascalon, starting to fade into particles to light. Leo. I went down on my knees. I slowly slid a hand under Leo's head and carefully lifted it up while placing an arm around on his lower body. What are you talking about? Leo slowly moved his head to mine. His eyes started to get watery. I never intended to take my body back, nor did I mean a single word I said about IseXHarem. I'm completely flabbergasted. I couldn't believe what I'm hearing. Leo never intended to take this body back or meant what he said about Rias? I was about to say something, but Leo continued. I hated this world and what it transformed me into. When I learned word that I was going to become the next security after you, I decided to preform a special spell that allow your soul to come into my body. Wait, you're the reason why I woke up in your body? I asked. But why? Here, let me show you. Leo placed his hand on top of mine. Wait, what is that? I felt a great surge of pain coming into my head. There are flashes of memories that don't belong to me coming into my mind. At first I didn't understand what this was till I realized what was happening. I was receiving Leo's memories. Leo is the BSTRD child whose deity father is the grandson of the original Luff and his mistress mother was a normal human. Since Leo was an illegitimate child, he was greatly discriminated against and mistreated by the people of his clan, except for Luff's daughter who Leo treated her like his little sister, and a servant girl who was Leo's first and only love. He withstood the hardship living in his household thanks to his great-grandfather, his aunt, and the love of his life, and proved himself worthy to be the descendant of Luff. Despite proving himself a worthy member of his clan, there was some who still disapproved of Le entering their clan since he was a BSTRD child and an abomination to them. They tried to get rid of Leo multiple times, but failed. Leo survived one way or another to get back home. Since those who disapproved of him failed to kill him psychical, they decided to target the ones he loves. Since they couldn't do anything to the daughter of Luff or Luff himself, they decided to attack the next important person in Leo's life, his true love. They kidnapped her and Leo went to rescue her. And by the time he arrived where they were keeping her, it was too late. Her body was tortured and her mind was broken. She wasn't the same person she used to be before her kidnapping. She died 3 days later by suicide because of what she had become during her time as a tortured prisoner. Her death greatly affected Leo and it made him mad with vengeance. He later hunted down those who were responsible for his lover's kidnapping and discovered the conspiracy against him. He found the members of those who tortured his beloved and killed them off one by one and achieved his vengeance. However, I couldn't find solace in myself after eliminating the traitors in my clan. Leo said as his tears began to pour down his cheek. I couldn't become the person I once was before the kidnapping happened, and I know by fact I'll never see the love of my life again. I have no purpose in life and didn't want to live in this world, but I couldn't commit suicide. I didn't know what to do till I heard of you. Me? Yes, Leo nodded. An oracle came to me and told me that I was going to become the next security after you died. She told me what day and time I'll receive the power of the boosted gear. I realized that if I become the security then more tragedy will burden me, more than I wanted, and so I decided to do something about it. A few weeks before your death, I performed a powerful spell that allowed your soul to come into my body when the boosted gear came to me, which led me into a deep coma. By the time your body became useless, your soul came into my body's possession. So why did you fight? What was the purpose of that? I asked. I wanted to see if you were worthy or not to possess my body and the powers that came with it. Leo explained. I nearly gave up on you, though you proven yourself worthy of having my body, my powers, and my name. That's why I'm leaving everything to you. I'll leave you my body, my memories, all of my abilities and powers, and so much more. Leo's body started to fade a lot faster that he looked almost transparent. Leo, it's going to be all right, Issei Hayudu. Just because my soul is fading away, but it doesn't mean I won't live on. Leo moved his quivering finger and placed it on the center of my chest. I'll live on within you. So don't cry. We'll be as one. The city around us soon is starting crumble and the ground started to shake violently. The field around this world is getting consumed by a bright light that is heading towards our way. Hey Issei, can I say one last thing to you before my spirit fades away? Leo. Sure Leo, what is it? Zoom in. After Leo said that, the light came to envelop us both. Everything's now black now. I realized that I was no longer within the realm of the boosted gear, but back into the real world. I knew it because I sensed presence of the Welsh dragon that possesses Draig's flesh was right in front of me. I know now that my eyes are closed and am no longer lying on the ground. I let out some air through my mouth and reopened my eyes to see that I was standing on my own 2 feet while wearing the red and white scale mail armor I wore to fight Leo. After fighting against Leo, I should have barely any strength to fight on, yet I don't feel fatigued at all. Instead, my strength is replenished like never before. When I gazed on the Welsh dragon, it hissed at me. Hakuyuku. It growled, noticing the power of the Hakuyuku within my red and white scale mail armor I'm wearing. It increases its aura tenfold and it looked like it was about to strike me. I, myself, got into a battle position and increased my aura as well. Neither one of us made a single move for the last minute or so. It was nothing more but a dead cold stare down till one of us made a move. Partner. What is it, Draig? It's about your successor. What about Leo? You remember what he said before saying the last line of the Issei Dragon theme song? I did. Thanks to him, I was able to have access to Leo's memories, powers, and abilities he has left him. I felt like my mind became more wiser for some reason. Was it because I also received the knowledge he gave me? He's done something to the boosted gear before his spirit left. Oh, what's that? He broke the final trick and the forbidden attack that the boosted gear has. You don't mean? He must have believed that you might need it in the future. I see. Hey Draig. Yeah. Let's use it. I understand. The chest and stomach area of my armor starts to move while making a sound and the appearance changes. I have something that is meant to shoot out something. The Welsh dragon noticed this. It decided to make its move and charged at me. I didn't move it at all as the aura gathered at my chest and stomach. Leo, this is for you. Massive amount of aura is shot out from my stomach by answering my shout. Longinus Smasher. Vast amount of aura which taints the whole room in crimson color envelopes Welsh dragon and tore through the wall behind it. After the Welsh dragon gets enveloped by the aura, I no longer sense its presence. When the crimson aura in the room disappeared into the air, the dragon was no longer in sight and the wall behind the Welsh dragon was also gone, revealing it to the outside world. I peeked my head out through the hole and noticed the status of the forest. It looked like the aftermath of wildfire. Man, I knew Longinus Smasher was powerful and all, but still. Don't use it repeatedly, okay? That's one of the forbidden powers that can even change the environment depending on the way you use it. Furthermore, a strong fatigue will hit you simply with a single use. That's scary. Yeah, I understand. I will use it with caution, but only if a time like that comes. I really did get my whole stamina drained after all. I'm barely able to stand and the new scale mail vanished. I turned to the Khalidbolg, where it was still floating in the air with the rainbow aura all over its body. I staggered with all the strength I had left towards the Khalidbolg. When I touched the handle of the sword, the Khalidbolg's rainbow aura vanished as the pull of gravity made the blade hit the floor. I took a knee and leaned a side of my body on the Khalidbolg. I looked at body of the blade and decided to look at the reflection. I still looked a lot like Leo and his eyes are red. Was I crying? Yes, I was. I was mourning over Leo's death when I came back to real world. But I won't let you down. With this gifted body you gracefully gave me, I'll use it to the fullest. You can leave everything to me now. Partner. Don't worry, Draig. I'm fine now. Leo lives on within me. I have his memories, powers, and experience. It's not like he's totally gone. Now then, let's take this sword back to Luff, Before I could tell Draig to absorb the sword into the boosted gear. There was a huge magic circle underneath me and the Khalidbolg. I covered my eyes with my arms as the light of the magic circle brightened. When I take my arms away from my eyes, I realize that the Khalidbolg and I were teleported to a different room. Don't tell me I have fight again. I no longer have the strength to fight on. I looked around to room to have my suspicion to be denied. I was in a bedroom. Weird. Are we still in the castle? I don't remember seeing this room before. I noticed a casket made out of glass in the middle of the room. And there was someone inside of it. I was very curious to who it was inside and used the Kalidbolg as a walking stick to approach the glassed casket. No way! My eyes widen up when noticed a beautiful young girl resting peacefully in the casket. She looks around my age. She had long brown hair and had a lovely fair-skinned, voluptuous figured body. She wore nothing more than a thin white nightgown. This girl. Who is she? Is she dead? No, wait. She's still breathing. She breathing through the glass casket. Huh. The brown hair girl started to open her light brown eyes as the glass casket began to evaporate into thin air. She's awake. She slowly raised up her back off the ground. Who are you? I am IseXHarem. I told her. IseXHarem. The young girl got up from the floor and approached me. She placed both her hands on my cheek, leaving me a bit dubious on what she's planning to do. IseXHarem. Her face slowly moved closer to mine. She rested her lips on top of mine. Wait a minute. She's kissing me. This girl who I just met is kissing me. The girl pulled her lips away from mine. Nice to meet you, IseXHarem. My name is Findabair, the daughter of Ailil and Queen Medb of Connacht. For achieving the Kalidbolg from the Welsh dragon, you've awakening me from my deep slumber. For awakening me from deep slumber, I, Findabair, will become your faithful wedded wife. Huh, was all I said in an idiotic tone. Beep, 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 ta, 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 ta. I hearing the sound of a cardiac monitor and the loud sound of my own breathing. I slowly opened my eyes to see a blurry white image. My vision soon cleared up to see a white ceiling. I slowly moved my head to the side to see the cardiac monitor, and a 4-drop that was right next to the bed I was lying 4-drop was connected to my right arm. I noticed that I was wearing a green hospital gown rather than the clothes I had on when I went to search the Kalidbolg. Wait, if there is a cardiac monitor and 4-drop near to the bed I'm resting on and I'm wearing a hospital gown, does it mean I'm in a hospital? No, that can't be right. I just came back from to Luff's castle after obtaining the Kalidbolg. Luff was busy at a meeting with council of his faction and couldn't speak with me, so I decided to go to Laos, or shall I say my room, to get some rest till Luff returned from his council meeting. So how did I end up in the hospital then? I don't have any major injuries on my new body, though I'm greatly exhausted after using Longinus Smasher on the Welsh dragon back at the other castle. I still feel haggard. This isn't from my fight against Leu and the Welsh dragon. No, this is definitely from something else. If I have to take the 4-drop and being in a hospital, then it completely different else. There was the sound of footsteps approaching the room. I turned my head to see who exactly was coming inside the hospital room. When the visitor walked into the room, she became very shocked. I'm also very shocked to see the visitor myself. The visitor is none other than Rias. She dropped vase filled of flowers the moment our eyes made contacts. I see. Rias. Rias sprinted and hopped on top of my bed. Ouf. I exhaled some air as Rias landed on top of me. Oh, I'm so glad that you finally woke up. Rias placed her head on my chest and her arms wrapped around my body. Up? I asked, feeling a bit puzzled and lightheaded. I must be still exhausted. I finally woke up? Wait, so I didn't wake up in the body of my successor? Rias lifted her head and looked at me worriedly. Ise, what are you talking about? And nothing. I lied, unsure if I want to talk to Rias about Leo right now. Rias got off from me and I lifted my back up from the bed and removed the gas mask on my face. So where? Everyone else? Why am I in the hospital? Am I sick again? Ise, don't you remember? Rias asked, who was sitting next to me on the bed. Remember what? I asked back. Don't you remember what happened after you left the fake dimension? You were injected with Samael's curse when you came back through the fake dimension with Ophis. We immediately took you to a hospital to get you treated. I didn't die from Samael's curse then? So this whole time I was dreaming? I never woke up in the body of my predecessor. I didn't spoke with the legendary Irish deity Luff. I didn't fight against a Welsh dragon who possessed Draig's flesh or kill off my successor for control of his body. That it was all a dream? Just a dream? My eyes were getting watery as my body started to tremble. I'm starting to feel the relief out. Issei. Rias called my name softly. Oh, Rias. I shoved my face into Rias's BRST and wrapped my arms around her. I'm so glad to be here in the hospital with you. Era. Rias expressed a bewildered demeanor due to my odd behavior. What's wrong, Issei? Why are you crying? I had a nightmare. A very terrible nightmare that you wouldn't believe. I told her in a husky voice, pulling my face away from Rias's chest and wiping the tears from my eyes. I'm just glad it's all over. A nightmare, huh? Rias smiled motherly. She placed her hand on my cheek and gently slid it. Well, it's all over now. You're awake and here with me. Rias. We stared into each other's eyes. The distance between our faces started to get shorter as our face gotten slightly red. My heart is racing and I'm having a feeling Rias's heart is the same as mine. Rias slowly wrapped her arms around my neck as she leaned her lips closer to mine. Our lips were about to kiss, but I placed my index finger on Rias's lips before she could touch mine. Issei? What's wrong? Rias asked. I remained silent as I continued to stare at the reflection of Rias's blue eyes. There was something peculiar, no wrong in the reflection of Rias's eye. I looked at the screen of the cardiac monitor. I noticed something odd again at the reflection, just like I did with Rias's eyes. Oh no! I muttered softly. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Issei? Speak to me, Issei. I ignored Rias's words and got out of the bed. I pulled out the 4-drop before I ran out from the room. I headed the nearest male's restroom to see a better reflection of myself with one of the mirrors. Oh no! I gasped at the reflection of bathroom's mirror, being completely appalled. What I'm seeing wasn't the face I was born with. Instead, I'm seeing the face of Leo. I'll admit, I haven't gotten used to waking up with Leo's face, so I'll be spoke time to time. However, I'm terrified. I'm seeing Leo's reflection, yet Leo's face doesn't have lovely green eyes, matter for the fact he's eyeless. And what makes things more terrifying is that his body is completely boneless. I'm seeing reflection of his body that looks nothing more but a rubber body that looks flat and flabby. The reflection of Leo's flesh was coming out of the mirror. I clutched onto my arm. I struggled to break free from Leo's grasp, but he had a strong grip on me that he was pulling me in closer to him. Let go! I yelled. Don't fight it. That voice. Leo? I became dumbstruck from the familiar voice coming from Leo's flesh. Is it really him? How? I killed him in the realm of the boosted gear. So how could he? Don't resist. Leo's voice spoke softly. Leo's fleshy and boneless arms stretched out and wrapped me around. The face of Leo opened its mouth as its face approached me. Don't worry. It's going to be all right. Those were the last few words I heard before Leo devoured me. Gwa! I opened my eyes and gasped for air. I got up from my bed to realize that I was back in Leo's room with my body sweating to death. I'm panting heavily to catch my breath, and I'm completely shirtless. So waking up was a dream? No, nightmare. I had a nightmare. Lesama, are you awake? It's the old maid that I met when I woke up in Leo's body. I wonder what brings her here. Why yes. I shouted. Actually, I just woke up a second ago. The maid opened the door. Lesama, I was sent here by Luff-sama to tell you that he wants to speak to you. So it's finally time to speak with Luff. Understood. I said, putting on a t-shirt. Congratulations, a pay dragon. I'm amazed that you came back in one piece. Well, it just goes to show that I work well under pressure. The old maid, which I haven't had the time to know her name, dropped me off at Luff's throne room. Their Luff, who sat on his throne magnificently with another fancy black suit, complimented me on my success the moment I walked in, and I gave a dry response in return. Luff then rested his cheek on his fist and smiled. So do you have it? Do you bring back the Khalidbolg? Of course, I said, summoning the boosted gear. Just give me a sec. I spread my left hand out and concentrated deeply on the Khalidbolg. I imagined the lightning bolt-shaped broadsword that I went to retrieve on my own. Soon fragments of light gathered on the palm of the boosted gear. The fragments formed of the Khalidbolg and then solidified. The blade and handle of the Kalidbolg appeared. "Oh, you stored the Kalidbolg in the boosted gear?" Luff said, sounding very impressed. It's true what he said. I equipped the Kalidbolg with the boosted gear like I did with the Ascalon and Kiba's Sword Birth's Holy Eraser. It seemed convenient for me to carry it around within the boosted gear. Well, it makes a nice storage unit. I said, they should have called you the Storage Unit Dragon, instead of a Pay Dragon. A Storage Unit Dragon? Cook. So I'm finally standing so low as to be a storage unit. My tears won't stop when I imagine about being nothing more than a portable closet. Drake is crying? Since he's been fragile lately, he cries even at the tiniest thing. Oi, can we change the subject? I brought the Kalidbolg as you instructed. Now can you get contact with the allied factions? Is that all you want? Love, aren't you a bit curious about the Welsh dragon you fought against? You know, the one that used the flesh of the dragon that resides in your red gauntlet. You had something to do with it. I said, pointing my finger at him accusingly. That's right, Luff nodded his head. I was the one who placed the Welsh dragon to protect Kalidbolg. How did you get your hands on Drake's flesh? I asked. It was right after the biblical faction slayed the 2 heavenly dragons and sealed their hands into sacred gears, Luff said, starting his explanation. I was able to get my hands on pieces of flesh from both heavenly dragons thanks to the God of the Bible. Centuries later, I had a magician who possessed a unique Longinus that helped me create a knockoff version of both heavenly dragons. I'm flabbergasted. I never knew there was Longinus that was able to do something like that. And there is also the fact that Luff also have flesh of Albion. However, I ignore it and said, you saw everything that happened in the castle. Guilty as charged. Luff shrugged his shoulders as if he didn't regret it at all. So you saw my battle the Welsh dragon and that girl. Oh, you mean the daughter of King Ilili and Queen Medb? Luff responded bitterly. Ah, that's right. Luff has some history with Queen Medb in the past. The reason why I know this is because I have access to Leo's memories. In Leo's memories, I recalled Le learning of the clan's origin. Leo is the grandson of Siu Chulaen, the most notable son of Luff, who single-handedly defeated the armor of Queen Medb, the mother of Findabair. Siu Chulaen killed off Findabair's first lover, Freach. Queen Medb offered Findabair to Siu Chulaen after the queen couldn't find another warrior to offer her daughter. Findabair was taken to him by a fool dressed as the king, and not by Ilili himself. Upon discovering this, Siu Chulaen kills the fool and puts a pillar through him and a pillar through Findabair's tunic. Queen Medb later killed off Siu Chulaen with the help of Lugaid Man Conroy, a warrior that avenged his father who was killed by Siu Chulaen himself. So do you resent Findabair for being the daughter of the woman who is responsible for killing your son and Leo's grandfather? I asked. Not really. Luff said after a quick yawn. Though he was my favorite child, I knew by fact he was going to be a troublesome kid. He was very arrogant, unfaithful, and stubborn. I knew he had it coming for the sins he committed as a hero and didn't feel much grief after Lugaid killed him. So why did you talk about Findabair like that? I asked. She's a troublesome girl with a curse. Luff responded plainly. A curse? It took me a while to realize it. I accessed Leo's memories to see if he had any more information on Findabair, and she did. Findabair had multiple lovers she was close to, however they, or Findabair herself, had a tragic end. You think Findabair is cursed for losing her past lovers? I don't think I know. Luff corrected me. After the fall of Queen Medb and her kingdom, I discovered that this girl was curse of misfortune. I decided to seal her away in suspended animation till I was able to find a worthy warrior to remove the curse, but as time passed by, I could never found a worthy warrior till you woke up in my grandson's body. This was all a setup? So you purposely send me there not for the Kalidbolg, but for Findabair instead? I shouted angrily. That's right. Luff confirmed with a nod and a sly smile on his face. I set everything up from the start. But why? I asked. Why did you send me there? Because I believed that you were able to remove her curse. Luff claimed. Oh, how did you know that I would be the one who can remove her curse in the first place? I asked skeptically. Luff rolled his eyes as if he was getting annoyed by me. It's really simple. To tell the truth, I thought you would already know this already. Can you spit it out already? I demanded impatiently. Luff got up from his throne and walked towards me. I was startled at first when he approached, thinking that he was going to hurt me, but I sensed no hostility from him. When he stood right in front of me, he pointed right to the boosted gear. The reason why I think you can remove Findabair's curse is that you have removed the curse of the Juggernaut drive and achieve new power that no one has before, Luff explained, leaving me speechless. I watched the match between you and Serord Bale. I witnessed you scale mail changed from red to crimson. And I saw you fighting against the Welsh dragon. I saw your new red and white scale mail. I've witnessed the effect of the Juggernaut drive and what effects it has on its user. Like Findabair, the Juggernaut drive was nothing more but a tragic curse that lead the person under its influence to a miserable life. Wait, so the only reason you picked me was because I was able to achieve a different scale mail armor and break the curse of the Juggernaut drive? I clarified. Yes, Luff confirmed, looking into my eyes. Haven't you realized that you cause a stir throughout the mythological world for achieving a new power different from the Juggernaut drive? You put many gods of many factions into a state of hysteria thanks to that. There are some gods who believe that you may be the first Longinus user to actually master their power of the sacred gear. I was aware that achieving crimson armor was going to put more attention on me, yet I didn't know that I put other gods in a panic state. I can't believe there are gods who think that I could actually master the power of my boosted gear. So you think that I can remove Findabair's curse because I broke my own curse then? I said, finally able to understand what Luff is trying to say. But why? Why do you want to remove the curse of the child of the woman who is responsible for your own son's death? Don't you remember that I already said that I don't blame Meb for killing my favorite child? Luff reminded me. Siu Chulain thought he could get away for all bullshit he did just because he was a hero and got what he deserves. So what about Findabair? Why did you want to remove the curse then? I asked. She's an innocent girl who became a victim to my son's ego. She was one of the few females who refused to give her heart out to Siu Chulain and got punished for it. So I decided to help by removing the curse my son left on her. Luff explained, taking the Khalidbalg from my hand. Consider this girl as her goodbye present from me before going back to the allied faction. A goodbye present? Does he really think that Findabair is going to accept me for who I am if she learns about Rias and the other girls? Though I haven't told Findabair about already having a girlfriend or my dream of becoming harem king, I doubt she'll approve of my dreams. She'll probably hate me if she knows about that or that I'm in the body of the grandson of man who placed the curse on her. I need to have a discussion with Findabair about that later. She needs to learn the truth about me face to face before things get too complicated. Speaking of allied faction, have you got word from them? I asked. Of course, Luff said, heading back to his throne with the Khalidbalg in his hand. I've talked to the chief god of my faction about joining the allied faction, which he agreed to after you retrieved the Khalidbalg and just spoken with the allied faction. My chief god and I were able to communicate with the allied faction, however. However what? I asked, raising a brow. I couldn't get in touch with none of the Maus, Seraph, and the Grigori members aren't available at the moment due to the monster crisis. Luff confessed. The monster crisis? Ashit. I completely forgot all about it since I was occupied with the Khalidbalg and Leo this whole time. We need to help them. I pleaded. There are lives at stake. If we go now dash. We're not going. Luff interrupted me. What? Why not? I demanded frostily. First off, going to the underworld without receiving permission will get you into deep consequences, Luff reminded me. Secondly, if I did send you to the underworld, there is going to be a huge misunderstanding between my faction, the allied factions, and the Khaos Brigade if you do show up in my grandson's body. If other gods, especially the ones that reside in heaven, finds out that you, a devil, is currently residing within the body of my grandson's body, it would put the world into even more chaos than before. Luff is right. I can't just show up and reveal everyone that I, a devil, is possessing the body of the descendant of a holy god like Luffy's in the first place. Unless. Luff put his hand on his chin as he thought deeply of something. Yes, that could work. Luff, I said, walking up to his throne. What are you thinking of? Luff blinked as if he just snapped out of his concentration and looked at me. I have an idea, a pay dragon. How about you just changed your appearance to your old self with magic? That way I could just teleport you back to the underworld with no trouble with authority of the underworld. Changing my appearance back to the way it was? Yes, that could work. Leo was very talented in the use of magic. He must have learned a spell to change his appearance. If I do that, then Luff can teleport me into the underworld with no problem, however. I'm sorry. I sighed in displeasure. I have to refuse of changing my appearance. Why is that? I swallowed all the saliva and cleared my throat. I don't know how to say this properly, but I spoke with Leo after I was knocked out by the Welsh dragon. For a second there, I thought I saw something in Luffy's eyes when I spoke of Leo's name. He continued to remain silent as if nothing big happened. To be more frank, we fought to the death for possession of his body. I confessed, looking down at my hands. I slayed him with the power of my new scale mail. My hands started to shake as I think back to the fight I had with Leo in the realm of the boosted gear. The image of me slashing Leo with the Ascalon is appearing inside of my mind over and over again. After I defeated him, I learned the truth. I continued, struggling to keep my hands stay still. I learned how I woke up in Leo's body. I learned how he used a spell on himself to allow me to enter his body. I learned of his past and the life he had. Not only do I have access to his memories, but I inherit his powers, abilities, and experiences. Leo gave me so much tea that I don't know how to show my appreciation except. Except what? I looked up at Luff with a struggled smile with my eyes getting watery. Except to keep the appearance of the man who unselfishly gave everything to a loser like me. I see. Luff leaned his head back to the throne and closed his eyes. He stayed like that for a while. He took in a big breath and looked up as if he was looking at the ceiling. I feel like I'm partially to blame for Leo's ruination. I lead him astray and had done nothing to stop him on his path of vengeance. When I found out that he was giving his body to you, I came too late to talk him out of it. When I found him, he was already in a deep coma, waiting for you to take his body. There was a small tear sliding down his cheek. Leo didn't deserve this. He never asked to be an illegitimate hybrid child from a noble clan. He never wished to be discriminated by his own family. And I know by fact that Leo never wanted to be a heartless avenger. You really did care for Leo more than your own actual son. There are more tears following down his cheek. Luff is literally crying out of sadness. He must be mourning for his great-grandson's death. I should have never allowed that child into my clan. Luff sobbed. He would have lived a better life somewhere else if he did. None of this would have ever happened if he was never raised here. He could have had a normal life and lived peacefully from this. But it's too late now. I failed to protect. To protect Leo. I wonder what would have happened if Luff did came in time to Leo's time of need. Would I really die from Samael's curse, or would I end up somewhere else? There are so many possibilities of what could have happened to me if Leo didn't give up his body to me. So what now? I asked after waiting silently for Luff to probably mourn for his great-grandson. I want to go help my friends and the children of the underworld, but I don't want to change the appearance of the man who gave me his everything. It's going to be fine, Luff said, whipping the tears off of his eyes. If they have the genius mind of a Juka Beelzebub and the power of Surzex and his peerage, they're going to be all right. However, there is a bigger danger than the monster crisis. More danger? I murmured. What's more dangerous than the monster's crisis in? It hit me. There was one person who I believe could a bigger threat the monster crisis in the underworld, no the entire earth.